Hey guys! So today I want to tell you how I managed to ditch my anxiety, all thanks to one super simple question. It really helped me out and maybe it'll work for you too. You know that feeling when anxiety just grips you so hard that you end up spending hours, like several hours a day, for days in a row, obsessing over the same problem, even though you totally plan to use that time for reading, chilling out, or doing something fun? Yeah, if that sounds familiar, I really get you. Because it actually happened to me once. I just couldn't focus on anything except my anxiety. At some point, I realized the problem must be pretty serious. It had been bothering me for a long time. Plus, it involved the one thing that really gets to me, my parents. So I decided to do something. Then I got this idea. Grab a pen and a notebook and write down all my worries. How? That question I told you about in the beginning. Yeah, it's what if my nightmare actually happens? Here's how it plays out. Quick example. Boss finds out I screwed up, I lose my job, can't pay rent, get kicked out, end up on the streets. You just keep rolling with all the worst case scenarios until you're out of bad thoughts. But hold on, that's just part of it. Stay tuned and I'll tell you what I did after that and how it all turned out for me. Okay, so I started writing down all the worst case scenarios that popped into my head, even the totally crazy and illogical ones. They just kept rolling in one after the other for what felt like forever. And the whole time I was doing it, I could barely breathe normally. My breath was all shaky, my hands were trembling, and I was just freaking out, like at max level. And then, once I'd gotten every last scattered thought out of my head and onto the paper, I read it all through from beginning to end. It was like seeing all those worries from a distance. And I just burst into tears. I felt so bad for myself, and it hurt so much to think I'd kept all those horrible fears bottled up for so long. But then, and this was a surprise, the sadness started turning into this strong feeling of I can do this. I was like, you know what? I've got this. Everything's gonna be fine from now on. Looking back at that moment, I can say it was my way of showing care and compassion for myself. Why? Because during that spontaneous practice, I talked it out. I wrote down all my worries using the question, what if my nightmare actually happens? Listened to myself. In this case, I read everything I'd written, showed some self-compassion, which is why I ended up crying. And then I cheered myself up by telling myself, you've got this. Everything's gonna be fine. I think you can try this way in your own life too. If you don't have paper handy, you can just type it all out in your phone's notes app. And if you can't type in your phone, you can record a voice message to yourself and then listen back to it. You'll be doing yourself a solid, just like I did in my story. By the way, I'm curious, how do you cope with tough emotions? Let's build a supportive space. Share your experiments in the comments, and I promise I'll read every single one. It's so inspiring to see how we all handle things differently. And if you found this video helpful, please show some love with a like and consider subscribing. It helps the channel grow. Thanks so much and see you soon!